Hi guys, and welcome to Get Fit with Jess Live. I am Jessica McCowan. I'm a certified personal trainer, boot camp coach, and lean accountability coach. So in today's Get Fit with Jess Live, I'm going to be opening this up to a Q&A. So I'm here to answer your questions. A lot of those have already been pre-submitted. I have those here, but if you are jumping on and you have questions, please feel free to put those in the comments, and I will come back in and answer those. And then maybe you are catching this on the replay. Same thing. If you have questions, be sure to put them in the comments. I'll come back in later today and help answer those for you. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I just want to let you know if maybe you have some friends, some family, some coworkers that might also be interested in, jumping on live, hearing some questions being answered about health, fitness, wellness, nutrition, all of that. Go ahead and share this video with them. Like it, share it, that way that they can jump into. But let's get right into this. So I'm going to go ahead and start answering some of those questions that have been pre-submitted. But again, if you've got questions and you're on here live with me, be sure to ask those. Don't hesitate. But one of the first questions that I wanted to get started with, it's a great question. I get asked this a lot, especially this time of year. And this is someone asked, Jess, I've not been doing anything at all. Where in the world do I get started? Because I'm just overwhelmed with it. So that is a question that I get asked a lot this time of year. Like, where do I even begin? And I have lots of tips for this. But number one is ease into it. So, people will come to me and they'll say, I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to totally stop eating fast food. I want to totally give up drinking soda. Those are all great goals, but those are big goals. Those are huge goals. So I always suggest for my clients, yeah, that's great. If you want to have that big goal, let's do it. Let's go for it. But let's create some smaller goals first. And then we'll work towards those, because, if your goal is to lose 50 pounds, that can take a while. So, maybe you've lost a pound or two, in the last couple of weeks. And that's awesome. And that's really good that you've already lost a pound or two. But if all you're focused on is that 50 pounds, 1 or 2 pound loss, that doesn't sound like much, does it? So that can get really discouraging when you're just constantly staying focused on that big goal. But, if you set a smaller goal to lose, 3 or 4 pounds this week, this month, you're already halfway there, So you want to create those smaller goals. And again, you want to ease into it. So for someone who says, I want to completely give up drinking soda, that's great. And then they just want to go cold turkey, right? Just give it up completely. I don't recommend doing that, because here in like 2 or 3 days, you're going to have a horrible headache. You're not going to feel good. And chances are you're going to go just right back to drinking that soda. But if you create that smaller goal and you gradually work, back and gradually decrease that, you're going to be so much more successful. So say you drink 3 cans of Pepsi a day. Maybe let's cut that back to 2.5, and then work down to 2, and then 1.5. And so maybe in the next 3 or 4 weeks, you're barely even, drinking an entire can. That's progress. And so you've made that smaller goal, and then you gradually, work towards that and ease into that. So that is where I recommend starting, is definitely making those smaller goals, and celebrate those. Because again, if you are constantly staying focused on the negative, for example, I had a girl this week in one of my programs. She just kind of started out. We started working on her nutrition. She started exercising with me. And, at the end of the week, I'm asking, all right, what was your win this week, guys? And, she was a little discouraged, because she said, I just feel really overwhelmed with the nutrition. I made some better choices, but I definitely was not perfect. And then she said, but I got in all the workouts this week. And I was like, heck yes, that is awesome. That's a huge win. Don't focus on that you were not perfect with the nutrition. None of us are going to be perfect with that. None of us are going to be perfect with anything. But, you know, you made steps, you made some efforts to try to do better, and you got in your workouts. Let's celebrate that. Let's use that for momentum as we keep going. So, you know, really focus on those smaller things, those little wins, and that's kind of how you start out. You know, I have had clients who are like, I can't even, you know, really go for a walk without my knees hurting, without my back hurting. You know, I've got these shoulder problems. I can't do push-ups. You know, they're very limited in that. But, you know, even in that case, you can start out somewhere. You can stand up. You can march in place for 30 seconds. You can have a seat and stand up. I'm going to have a seat. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to do that 10 times. I'm going to take my arms out. I'm going to do some arm circles. You know, just get moving. It really doesn't have to be anything, you know, huge and complicated. Keep it simple. And again, you know, maybe it's just starting 5 minutes. 5 minutes a couple of times a week, then work up to 10 minutes a couple of times a week. You know, it's again, just that gradual progression. So that's kind of how I help support my clients and, you know, really kind of give them those tips on just getting started. Okay. All right, let's move on. I had a question about the scale. Yes. Oh my gosh. So if you have followed me, you watch my stories here on Facebook or on Instagram, I did a little poll actually last week on the scale. And if you know me, you know that I hate the scale. I absolutely hate it. I think it is the worst way that you can track your progress, but this is what people want to use. And then that's how they determine, you know, how they're going to feel about themselves this day and if they're making progress. Just yesterday, I had a lady come to me at church, and she was just talking about, Jess, I joined the gym. I'm going in. I'm doing some strength training. I'm not strong, you know, but I'm working towards it, and I'm working, on doing that strength training. And I was like, yes, this is awesome. I'm so happy for you. And then she was like, but I've gained 3 pounds. And I was like, oh, no, get off the scale, throw it away. And she was like, really? I mean, like, she had never heard that before. Like, the scale, that's not how you're supposed to track your progress? I'm like, no, please throw it away. Just get it out of the house. Do not track your progress from that scale. And, and then I was just trying to tell her that the scale is going to fluctuate so much. I mean, 3 pounds. Okay, guys, a little TMI here, but your scale could change in a day if you've not had a bowel movement, okay? I mean, it's plain and simple, just like that. It's gonna change depending on what time of the month it is. It's gonna depend on what you ate 2 days ago. If you're, retaining any water, the scale will fluctuate. And if you're weighing every day, that's not good. That is not good. If you have to keep your scale in your house and you have to weigh, don't do it more than every other week, okay? And that is pushing it with me. I'm being nice with that. I'm talking like once a month, step on that thing. But here's how we need to track your progress, not through the scale. Again, it's going to fluctuate. It's going to frustrate you. You will get discouraged, and it's not good. It's just not good. So I track the progress with my clients and myself by doing measurements, by doing their body fat percentage. There's a scale at the gym that I work at that can track your body fat percentage, and then taking pictures, progress pictures. That's a great way. But even if you don't want to use pictures, how do your clothes fit? Are they fitting tighter? Then, okay, well, let's maybe, evaluate what we're doing here. Do we need to really dial into the nutrition? Do we need to kick up your water intake? Do we need to be getting a little bit more activity in? And then in a couple weeks, evaluate that again. Put on those pair of jeans, put on that shirt that felt a little tight, and then see how it feels from there. And I'm going to kind of go into this because this was another question I got about a pound of fat versus a pound of muscle, and there's a lot of confusion with that because people will say, oh, the scale went up, but I've gained muscle. So let me kind of clear this up while we're talking on this. A pound is a pound, okay? If we take a pound of fat and a pound of muscle, they weigh exactly the same, right? They're both a pound. But here's what happens with that, and this is where the confusion comes in. Let's say this is a pound of fat, and this is a pound of muscle. They both weigh a pound, but there's a big difference between the size, right? So this is taking up more space. The fat is taking up more space. The muscle is taking up less space. So when you start to lose body fat and build lean muscle, you will get smaller. So why do we weigh? Why do we even care about that? What matters is that you feel good. You feel good. You're sleeping better. You have more energy. Your clothes are fitting better. You look in the mirror and you feel better about yourself, and you can see yourself changing and getting stronger and more fit. So get rid of the scale. Please get rid of the scale. And one more thing while I'm talking on that, I had another client message me this morning. She weighed on the scale at the gym, and then she weighed on her scale at home. There was a 7-pound difference in the scales just between her home and the gym. So if you're relying strictly on the scale, again, you will leave feeling disappointed. I mean, which scale does she go by? Which one's right? Of course, she's probably going to be like, well, the one at the gym that was 7 pounds heavier must not be right. This one at home must be the true weight. And that's what I'm saying. You just cannot track your progress from the scale. Now you'll see, like in my client transformations, my client spotlights, that sometimes we do, I do kind of show you how much they've lost, but you're also going to notice that I'm showing you how many inches they've lost. I'm showing you a picture of them, showing how their body transformation or their body composition has changed. And, they're sharing with you a lot of times, and with me, how much better they feel. So if you get anything at all from today, throw away your scale, okay? Just do it. Just trust me. Let's track your progress other ways. All right, we're moving on. Let's see, I have some comments coming. Non-scale victories are so important, Julie says. Yes, 100%. That is what we cling to, okay? That is how we're gonna, keep that momentum going, are those non-scale victories. And in my groups, that's what we celebrate. We celebrate those non-scale victories. Okay, so someone was asking about calories. She said that she was, wanting to lose weight, and she said, I'm supposed to eat 1,200 calories, right? I mean, how many of us can say, if you've read something, 1,200 calories, that's what you need to have in a day to lose weight, right? Wrong. I mean, how can that be the same for someone who's this tall to someone who's this tall? How can that be the same for someone who weighs 200 pounds to someone who weighs 150 pounds? How can that be the same for someone who is much older to someone who's much younger? How can that be the same for someone who's much more active, not being active at all? How can that be the same? It can't, okay? So here's what I suggest. And let me just go ahead and throw this out here. I said in the beginning, I'm a certified personal trainer, okay? That is my expertise. That's what I do. I'm not a registered dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist, but I work with someone who is. A lot of you guys know I work with Amanda Nybert. She is a registered dietitian. She is the founder of the Lean program. I'm a coach in that program. It's amazing, and she's amazing. I have learned so much from her, but you know, as far as when I'm talking about the nutrition, know that I have learned from her, okay? So again, it cannot be the same across the board, 1,200 calories. For the most part, and where people are getting that confusion is because that's really kind of an average, I guess, of what we need in a day just to survive, just for our body to function properly, okay? But when we start to get into the weight loss and things like that, it's going to be different for everyone. Again, you have to take into consideration your weight loss goals, your height, your age, your starting weight, your activity level. Those all play a huge factor in that. So here's what I recommend. MyFitnessPal. It's an excellent app. It's free. You don't have to pay for the premium. Just download the free app. And here's what I want you to do. Go into that. It's going to walk you step by step, tell you exactly how to do it. Again, you're going to put in your birth date, which is going to generate your age. You're going to tell it your weight loss goals. Normally, I tell my clients to set it to about 1 pound of weight loss a week, if that's your goal, if weight loss is your goal, just because that's attainable, that's a doable goal, and it's healthy. That's a healthy goal. So, set it at that. Again, it's going to ask you your height. It's going to ask you your activity level. And then from there, it's going to take your information and it's going to create your macros for you. What's going to work for you, not for your friend, not for, someone else over here, for you specifically. It's going to tell you, all right, here's the calories that you're going to need today. Here's your goal. Here's how much protein that you're going to need to get. Here's your carb goal. So it's going to break down all that for you and your goals. And what I suggest doing when you do that, just start logging and tracking. Don't change anything. Eat the way that you normally eat. Live the lifestyle that you normally live. And just for the 2 to 3 days, log and track all of that like you typically would. Okay? Then evaluate that. Go in and look and see, are you overeating? Are you going over the calories that, it's recommending? How about your protein? Is it close to the goal? Chances are 90% of my clients, when we start out doing this, they are way under on protein, and most of us are. So, that's a big deal, and I'm going to talk about that. I've got another question on that coming up. But, see where you're at. See where you're at on your carbs. Are you like going way over on the carbs? And then sometimes even people are way under eating. And that can be a problem if you're under eating. Your body is actually storing fat. It's going into starvation mode. Now, there's also a little bit of confusion on that. When your body goes into starvation mode, you are, number one, not hitting your protein, and you're under eating. So that's when the body goes into starvation mode. It starts to store fat, and that's kind of when you're on that downward spiral with that. So get MyFitnessPal, set it up for your goals, and log and track for a few days, see where you're at, and then start to evaluate that. Julia, my problem is I love protein bars and shakes and meat and almost too much. Yeah, I mean, there is a flip side to that. I'm there with you, and I had a great question on this protein bars and stuff. I'm actually going to go to that next here in just a second, but let me just talk about too much protein. Yeah, you can actually have too much protein. It's not typical, it's not something that I see a lot, but occasionally I'll see it. And your body can only digest so much of it, okay? So what happens is when it's starting to get an excess and it just can't break it down, it just can't digest it, then it'll actually store it that way too. So that's why MyFitnessPal comes in really handy, especially in the beginning. Now, do you have to log and track forever? No, you do not. I mean, I just kind of got back into tracking again because I got way off track over the holidays, so I needed to dial it in a little bit. But, for a long time, several months last year, I didn't track at all. But I pretty much knew. I mean, I tracked for so long leading up to that. I basically knew what I could have, how much I could have, so it's all about getting that awareness. So once you start to live that lifestyle and you log and track for a while, you can kind of judge it, but it's always good to kind of come back in, reset, and just make sure you're on track with that, okay? But that's all the pre-questions that I got, but I'm gonna come here. Let me grab my laptop here. Some of these questions I want to get into here. So I was just going to read it to you guys. Devin asks, I know how important it is to get adequate amounts of protein in daily, but sometimes it can be hard to get it from lean meats, beans, nuts, eggs, etc. My question is, how often is it okay to go for a protein bar instead? So like I mentioned before, protein's one of those things that most of us are not getting enough of, okay? When we start to become aware of that and we start to try to increase that protein, it can be a challenge. But when you're doing that, I recommend that the main source of that protein is coming from actual food. So like she's saying here, eggs, lean meats, beans, nuts, things like that are going to be higher in protein. But if you are still struggling to get to your goal from that point, when your main focus, so let's say 75% is coming from real food, real food, not the processed stuff, then yes, it is okay to, supplement with that and go make a protein shake, go grab a protein bar. But if that's the main source, if your main sources are coming from the bars and the shakes, that's when it's a problem. That's when it's not good, okay? So just really try to focus on that. Make sure it's coming from that whole food nutrition. And then if we need to go add a little bit of extra with supplements, that's okay, okay? Renee, can you include black coffee as a part of water intake? I drink about 3 cups a day. Renee, girl, I wish it were true. I wish we could. Here we go. Water, coffee, hydrate, dehydrate. That's my life. I do not recommend that you use your coffee as part of your water intake because like I said, coffee, caffeinated coffee, that actually will dehydrate you, okay? So we want to count the part that we are hydrating. So pure water, a lot of you guys ask me sometimes, Judy, yeah, same, yes. If you're adding in those BCAAs to try to help support your workouts, if you need to add some electrolytes to your water, if you are, need to add a little bit of flavoring in there, I consider that all pure water. But, when it comes to the coffee, the tea, stuff like that, I don't consider that. Coffee is life. Yes, Courtney. Yes. New mama right there. I'm sure she gets up early, but yeah, I'm right there with you guys. But no, I do not count this towards my water intake. Okay, moving on. Judy has a question. I have a fasting question. So she's talking about intermittent fasting. I've shortened my daily fast. Is a 12-hour fast sufficient to get the health and benefits of fasting? Should I hold a longer fast occasionally? Okay, so some of you guys might not know about intermittent fasting, and we'll talk on that more as I continue to do these live. So, this one's geared towards a Q&A, and what I want to do every 4-6 weeks at the most, come back on with you guys, and then I'm just going to choose topics, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about, okay? But just briefly, intermittent fasting, that's basically when you go some time without eating. And so I recommend for my clients to do a 12-hour fast across the board. Our kids should be doing a 12-hour fast. Our grandparents should be doing a 12-hour fast. And I learned this from, like I said, my nutrition coach, Amanda Nybert. But here's the benefits of intermittent fasting and that 12-hour fast. You're giving your body time to digest the last meal. So typically it takes the body about 12 to 14 hours to digest your last meal. So if you're eating at 9 p.m. at night, you're having a little nightly snack, and then you're coming right back around at 8 o'clock in the morning having breakfast, well, your body never really had time to fully digest that last meal. So it's just constantly working, constantly digesting. So that's where a 12-hour fast can really be beneficial and just gives your body that digestive rest. So a 12-hour fast, yes, is beneficial. And, if you do want to add in a couple of days a week, extending that, maybe to a 13, 14, 15-hour fast, yes, that would be good. But Judy, I know your goals and I know where you're at right now. So, 12 hours, like I said, 13 to 14, I think that would be good. And yes, you will still see benefits from that, okay? Next question. I have a morning and afternoon coffee habit. Here we go back on the coffee again. Everybody loves that coffee. I have to have French vanilla creamer. I like it pretty blonde too. Looking for a more diet/macro friendly version. Suggestions. Judy gave her a really good tip on this. She says she forced herself to switch to 2 tablespoons of half and half. Took about 2 to 3 weeks to adjust. I'm sure others have a better way to change. The carbs on creamer are pretty high. Yeah, and again, Judy goes on to saying that now that's the way she loves it. And when she's tried to do the French vanilla, it's just too sweet. So, okay, that is a great tip. So when you are making changes like this, and I'm not just talking about, creamer, I'm talking about everything, okay? When you go from eating all this highly processed food and then you start to eat whole foods, sometimes it takes your taste buds and your digestive system to adjust to that, okay? So give it a little bit. Just, push through it. Get in that mindset. I'm making a better choice, okay? My body is going to feel so much better. I'm giving it good fuel versus this food, these things that are not fueling me well. They are not helping me. And try to keep positive with that, and it will change. I promise you, it will change. But, there's lots of things that you could do. I love Judy's suggestion. You could try doing a more natural sweetener like stevia. There's some French vanilla stevia drops that I found at Kroger that work really well in coffee. I use nut pods, and there's different flavors with those, and it's like 10 calories. There's 0 sugar, very few carbs, if any. I think it's like 1 or 2 at most. So yeah, there are some other good options in there. And if anybody else is watching this and you have some tips and some recommendations on that, please feel free, because like Courtney said, coffee is life, and we got to enjoy that coffee. I'm trying to see, I think that's all the questions that I had on here. Do you guys have any other questions? I'm going to scroll through just real quick and see if any came through while we're on here. Oh, that's so funny. The scale is the devil. Yes, well, I 100% agree with that. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, I love nut pods. Good. I've also heard adding cinnamon to your coffee. Yes, cinnamon. Yeah, that's a great one. I tend to forget to do that, but yeah, that's really good to add that extra flavor in there. So thank you, Trista, for sharing that. All right, you guys. Yeah, that's all the questions that came to me before and then during. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope that you learned a little bit. And again, I'm going to continue to do this. I would love suggestions on topics that you guys really want to talk about. But as I'm kind of, wrapping this up with you, again, if you're catching it on the replay and you have other questions, comment those. I will come back in later and answer those. You guys, again, feel free to share this out there with the whole Facebook world. But so, like I said, as I'm kind of wrapping this up, I'll kind of finish the way I started with talking about just get started. If you're not doing anything right now and you feel overwhelmed, I would love for you to reach out to me. I would love to give you some extra encouragement, some motivation, some tips. And again, ease into it. Don't go all in, giving up everything. You will not sustain that. You will not stay with it long. It's all about, finding that balance, finding that sustainability and that flexibility. And that is what I talk about and teach my clients in my programs. I want them to be able to, go out, live life, do the things that they love, enjoy the foods that they love, and still be able to see results, to feel better. Julie had a great point here, you guys. Newsletter is a great resource too. So yes, we started this, we revamped. I've had the newsletter for a little while, but we totally revamped it, made it so much better. And Julie and Melita, those girls have helped me so much, and I appreciate them so much with that. But if you haven't gotten signed up for that, I can put the link here. It's free. It's all free. It's a great resource that's going to come to you every other week, has lots of information about exercise, nutrition, recipes. That is one thing that people are constantly asking me for. And I'm right there too. I get in a rut. I make the same things over and over and over. So it's really nice to have those extra recipes to give a try. And we are keeping them simple. Listen, when we were talking about this, I was like, you guys, I got to have it. It's got to be pretty simple, not a ton of ingredients. So that's what you're going to get in that. And lots more with that. So get signed up for that newsletter if you haven't already. A new one will be coming out this coming Monday. So next week, be on the lookout for that. But again, I'll post that link here and you can go get signed up for that free newsletter. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, maybe on your lunch break, and joining me. Thank you for liking and sharing. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next Get Fit with Jess Live. Bye guys. Have a great rest of your day.